What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So we finally got Plague Star back, and we've got the new strats for you today. Keep in mind, Plague Star, the event, has not been here since Helminth was introduced, and the Steel Path and all that stuff. So we've got lots of new tools and goodies to speed up the infinite forma farm. It's going to be a lot of information in this video, so you can honestly watch it at 0.75 speed or 0.5 speed if you really want to. And we're also just going to briefly go over what Plague Star is before we get into the strats, the meta teams, and the meta weapons for doing this. Because why would you even want to do this in the first place? Well, first off, make sure you're subbed to the channel. Let's get into it. Okay, so Plague Star is this event right here that you're going to be grinding up reputation to get access to these really good rewards. You start out at like unranked, so when you're at this low rank, you'll be doing this bounty over and over again. It's a very grindy event, same mission over and over again. But you need to basically get your reputation. When you're at neutral rep, make sure you hit the rank up button. That will probably be like right here to get to the next rank. Make sure your first priority is to get the max rank here. Because when you get the max rank, you have a 494,000 standing potential that you can like bank. And there's lots of good rewards in here you can actually pull from. There's the new ghoulsaw, which seems kind of underwhelming stats-wise. But if you want to get this ghoulsaw situation, it's 4,000 rep per part. And the missions will give you 3,000 rep if you do the max difficulty version. So, you know, all these, there's 5 parts total, and they're 4,000 each. So it's 20,000 for the weapon and 3,000 for the stance, which I think it's the only place you can get the stance from. The main draw that most people want from this event is forma, fully built forma. Keep in mind, this is not a forma blueprint, it's a fully built forma. If I bought these 5 right now for 15,000 rep, I would get 5 extra forma that I can go use on weapons, go use on frames, etc., etc. That's the main draw of this event, 3,000 rep for that, so one mission will actually get you a fully built forma. Let's get into some gameplay here and we'll start talking about what you want to do. So, the bounty you're doing is going to involve a couple steps. There's a step where you have to go get a canister in a cave and take the canister outside. The second step is to take that canister you just got out of that cave, put it in a mobile defense objective, and defend it. During that mobile defense objective part, you will be able to add some resources into that mobile defense objective to increase the difficulty and also increase the amount of bosses that spawn at the end of the mission. The more bosses that spawn and the more of these materials you put in there, the more rep you'll get. Basically, I'd recommend to you to put 4 and 4 every time. If you're not doing that, you're not a real gamer. Just go 4-4 every time. Do it. If you use the strats in this video, you're going to be getting lots of rep, lots of forma, and all that good stuff. Keep in mind, the Plague Star event is here until September 30th. So if you're watching this video the day it comes out, you have literally 3 weeks of infinite forma. If you're doing the strats in this video, you can get 8-minute forma. Keep in mind, there's ways you could probably get it even faster than that. We are just doing a chill run here, 8 minutes per forma, a little bit over 8 minutes sometimes. But yeah, you can make it go faster if you're using like an ad clearing frame or something like that. But we're just going min-max on making the boss move really fast, because that's a big part of this mission as well. So, as I've told you, you're defending a mobile defense objective. Once you defend the mobile defense objective, you take the canister out of the mobile defense objective. Again, you take that canister, you put it in a drone. That drone moves really slow and actually has to travel a large distance. That's where frames like Nova, frames like Loki Prime are really important, because the drone moves so slow. You can actually make it move faster by using Nova's wormhole ability, which teleports allies and enemies. Or you could use Loki's switch teleport to switch places with the drone, making it move closer to the objective you're trying to get to. Because that drone will go towards the middle boil in the middle of the city, or actually the middle of the plains, and that's when the drone gets to the boil, that's when the bosses will start to spawn. You'll start fighting infested. And that's where ad clearing and boss killing weapons are important. So, with all that stuff discussed, the things we want here, we want maximum speed. Speed's very important for getting into the cave, for getting to all these objectives. And things we also want. We want ad clearing weapons or ad clearing frames. We also want boss damage. We want specific boss damage. This is not your standard Eidolon fight. There are certain types of weapons that will be really good against the boss you're fighting here. It's actually going to be a different version of Lefantis. So let's go over what we're going to use here, and we'll show some of the builds. For me, from our testing today, I'm going to say that the meta squad for doing this, keep in mind, we want to do speed, we want to do teleportation, and we want to basically be moving around the planes at maximum velocity and killing bosses as fast as possible. The meta squad is Nova Prime with a negative power strength build, which will make it so you can actually speed the enemies up. That's going to be the best frame. If you're doing this solo, run Nova Prime, because Nova Prime's wormhole ability actually lets you teleport across the plains really fast. 132 meter teleport range. The subsumability, since we have Helminth now, I've gone with Resonator to make the infested not even a problem for us. Also makes them gather in one spot very easily. Another ability you could put here is Energized Munitions. Energized Munitions will let you have more ammo efficiency to keep your shots being spammed for longer. The Nova build I've gone with right here is going to be speed focused, also really high range, as we actually want negative power strength. You need to run the overextended mod on this build to get negative power strength, so your fourth ability, Molecular Prime, will make enemies run faster. Very, very important right there to actually have negative power strength for this setup, guys. Don't run slow Nova with high power strength. It makes the enemies move slower. You can't kill them fast. It makes the boss move slower. It will stay in the boil, because the big thing about why you want to make the boss move faster is it starts up in a boil in the middle of the city, or in the middle, I keep calling it the city, in the middle of the plains, and you want it to get out of there so you can actually kill it at max speed, because there's multiple heads. Having teammates for this will let you camp multiple heads at the same time. Pretty important and pretty useful. And this is some advanced strats right here we're using that we're actually forcing some spawns. We'll talk about that more later in the advanced part of the guide. Just going over the basics right now. So, really important weapons. What you want to do weapon-wise for this, you want to actually have crit weapons that are high pellet count. So, if you're just running a Rubico Prime, this enemy has a per shot damage cap. So you want to use things with high amounts of pellets. So we're talking about shotguns, we're talking about shotgun pistols, we're talking about things with high fire rate too, so the amount of pellets doesn't even matter as much since you're firing so quickly. And besides that, you also want to use things that remove the enemy armor. So let's just show the go-to loadout that I would recommend to you as a solo player. Keep on, we'll have multiple weapon suggestions, but this is what I'm going to recommend to you first, okay? So, like I said, we went with the Nova build. Since we're running a shotgun, we're going to be running Arcane Tempo on critical hit, increased fire rate for shotguns for 12 seconds. Also, Arc and Energize. You technically don't need to run Arc and Energize if you have energy pads sitting around. There's other arcanes you can run that slot as well. Rolling Guards is good for survivability. Natural Talents, really important for this build to make it so you cast your portals faster so you can make the drone teleport more reliably. Alright, so as far as weapons, my personal recommendation to you is the Bubonico. I like to call it the Bubonico, but it's actually called Bubonico. Spoiler alert. And as far as a build on it, like I said, you want to go for high corrosive damage, and you don't care about stash chance at all. We have this just for more corrosive damage. Ideally, you'd probably just have more crit damage in this slot, but there's not many crit damage mods that are really viable for this. So, Shell Shock's what I'm going to run in that slot. There's probably a better mod for that slot specifically, but yeah, Primed, Cleanse the Infested, as the boss is an infested enemy. We want to just basically go for corrosive crit. That's the most simple way I could explain it to you. We have a Riven on here for multi-shot and crit chance. That's going to make it so that's a pretty good Riven for this. I'd say multi-shot, crit chance, crit damage, maybe even fire rate or electric could be your best bet. Or actually, Bane the Infested would probably be the best bet for this because it's an infested boss, but you don't need to roll a specific Riven just for this. So, yeah. Did I say that the meta squad I was talking about? Well, number one is Nova for solo. The rest of the squad is actually going to be all around speed and a special cheese we're going to talk about here. If you made it already 8 minutes in the video, trust me, there's more coming. From here on out, we're going to get into the min-max parts. But just continuing with the loadout we have, you want corrosive crit on the Bubonico. Now keep in mind, the primary shot in this thing is single target, crit focused. The secondary fire is AoE focused. This will help you kill the ads, as there's lots of level 20 infested flying in there. If you want to run an AoE secondary, I think the Prisma Angstrom is one of the best. Let you just cover a huge area with a big explosive shot and easily kill a bunch of infested. Because when you're starting to summon that boss, the more enemies you kill, it basically fills up a progress bar every 25%. Another boss will spawn. As you see right here, we're at 99%. That's when the last boss will spawn from this boil. And we have lots of preparation we're going for. We're going to be using the Shattering Impact mod on our melee to remove the enemy's armor. And it's really easy. They're taking double damage from Nova debuff. We're using a Helminth ability on our Volt to make him take even more further increased damage. And we basically just insta-kill the bosses. So, the final weapon. So, these weapons right here will work on every frame. The last one is going to be the Vastalock. Keep in mind, you can also use the Sarpa for this. The main reason we're using this is because this is a shotgun melee. It's a shotgun melee where the projectiles you fire off have impact, puncture, and slash. Since the projectiles have impact damage, Shattering Impact works great. Removing the enemy armor by 6 per damage hitting them, that's impact. Since there's so many pellets, it's lots of armor removed really quickly. You just basically want to go for max attack speed and Shattering Impact. That's all you really need. If you don't have it, just go with the Sarpa. Like I said, it's the same thing. Technically a little bit worse, as I think it has less projectiles. but it does the exact same thing. This has served me very well for many a Plague Star. Just you don't even need any elementals. Just go max speed. Healing Return was a meme. Okay, so that's the Nova setup. As far as a companion, since the enemy is not really dropping any important resources, they technically drop like a dojo decoration thing. Not too worried about that right now. We're going to be running the Darzik Vat for increased damage. It gives you 60% additive crit chance. Also works for your allies within 25 meters every 20 seconds. Pretty good. You can also run Tech Enhance to make the ability last longer, so you have a higher uptime on your crit chance. And the rest of the stuff just to keep the cat alive. And as far as Focus School, we've got Zenerek Focus School. You can actually use Zenerek Void Blast to slow the boss down as you're speeding them up a lot. And the Temporal Blast node will actually slow them out 80% by 15 seconds. You speed them up to get them out of the boil, then you Void Blast them to slow them down so their faces stay open for longer. Alright, that's the Nova loadout. Now we're going to be going over the rest of the meta squad. Like I said, the meta squad I recommend to you, if you're doing this strategy, is Nova Prime, Volt Prime, Wisp, and wait for it, Hydroid Prime. Yes, Hydroid Prime. It is not a meme. He actually has very unique use cases. It's actually going to be a special loadout called Secret Agent Hydroid. Does this sound like a joke to you? Because I bet it does. Well, the thing about Hydroid is he actually has two special things that we're going to go over here, and that's going to be one of the new pieces of technology we can actually go for with the helmet system, and also some, not recent, but relatively recent additions, aura mod-wise. We have Combat Discipline. This thing lets you take damage when you deal damage to, when you kill an enemy. So what you want to basically go for here is you want to go for really high range. Notice how we subsumed off his second ability for Loki's Decoy. Would you like to know why that is? I bet this mod's going to spoil it for you. So since they've actually patched out one of the teleport methods I used to use for operator teleporting, this is the fastest mode of travel in the entire game. Save your Decoy augment mod for Loki. When Loki takes fatal damage, the decoy that you place on the ground will absorb the damage and swap places. It also increases the casting speed of decoy. It does not matter at all. So Secret Agent Hydroid, here's what this will do if you run this setup. So here's me just doing a solo run to display this. We're also utilizing, we're basically just trying to sacrifice ourselves. You use the HEMA with a special mod called Tactical Reload, and you basically empty half your magazine. It drains all your health really fast, and that gets you down to 2 health. When you get down to 2 health, you'll kill one enemy and you'll teleport out of the vault if you have your decoy in a safe position. Make sure your decoy is not in a spot it can get killed by a thumper, get killed by an infested or a grenier. This is very important if you want to go for the max speed run stretch, because nothing is as fast as this. You could technically maybe run Titania, but Titania also, the other thing about Hydroid is that he has another special gimmick as well, where he can actually make the boss move out of the boil even faster with his third ability, Tentacles. Not the fourth, not his ultimate Tentacles where he summons the Kraken. Actually, when you're in his third ability, you turn to a puddle, you can grab the boss with tentacles and pull them out. Here we are. We pull the canister. That's the first step right there. We shoot one enemy, kill them. We're teleport out. That's the fastest. That's Goku levels of fast travel right there. The first step's done in a minute. Honestly, a minute. I was standing around just not doing anything for a little bit there too. So that's really, really good. Potentially the meta, like I said, Titania with a really, really high power strength Razorwing Blitz build might be a little bit better. And Titania can also utilize the decoy, save your decoy trick. So you might want to consider that. But Hydroid actually has a use here. We'll actually go over the other part of the Hydroid use case here. It's with his third ability. So we're speeding up the boss with M Prime, negative power strength build. We're also going to be using Volt with the Rest and Rage ability from Equinox to make them speed up even faster and take even more damage. But here's Hydroid. Hydroid can basically just yeet the boss over, and it's technically faster than those other things we're doing in the first place. So that's pretty good right there. That apparently it works with other things like Magus Anomaly, but it does not work with Valkyr's Ripline. Does not work with the Itzel's Ripline. Hydroid and Magus Anomaly seem like the only ones that I've heard of so far that actually can make the boss get yeeted across like that. And you can actually yeet the boss into the water. It does not insta-kill them though, so just yeet them out of the boil, get them to their killing spot, and it's technically a little bit faster. So yeah, Secret Agent Hydroid, he's got 2 uses, yeeting and sacrificing himself. So let's go over the rest of the builds. Now the rest of the stuff, it's just basically quality of life and damage buffing. So like I said, We have the teleportation covered with Nova. We've got the additional teleportation covered with Hydroid, and also the yeeting with Hydroid. Let's go over Volt and Wisp, because, I mean, they also... Oh, actually, let's go over the Hema build. I didn't show the Hema build. So for Hydroid, if you could technically do this setup on other frames as well, but for the Hydroid that we're doing right here, the Hema is very important. Basically, one of the only things in the game that causes self-damage, and you want to run just basically max fire rate to get your magazine down really low, and then tactical reload. When you holster the Hemo when it's low magazine, it drains your health a lot faster with tactical reload, getting to like 2 health very, very quickly. Very important mod for this playstyle. And if you're running Secret Agent Hydroid, you basically need to DPS with your secondary. So DPS weapons, like I said, we want high pellet, crit, and potentially full auto weapons. So we're running the Piranha Prime. We've got Expel Infested, high corrosive, high crit. You want some fire rate too. Although we will have a Wisp in our squad, so fire rate's not as important, but you know, more fire rate never hurt anybody. So, going over the other 2 frames, we got Volt Prime and we got Wisp. And we're going to show how to force teleport a drone to the good spots, basically. There's a couple good spots on the map that you want to go for. And that just means the drone will be starting out closer to the actual spot that you want to get to in the end. So, we've got these 2 spots right here. Like on the hill, I guess, past the river, and on the right in the valley. Those are the 2 spots you can force the drone to spawn in if you use the methods we'll show in this clip coming up right here. All right, so, but like I said, you want to have speed increasing frames like Volt and Wisp because their speed buffs actually work on Arcwing. Makes your Arcwing move really fast, and for the force spawning the drone thing, you need to be moving really, really, really fast, guys. So this is, if you're not running solo, you're going to need to coordinate with your teammates and tell them to listen to you, basically. There's going to be a spot on the map you guys are going to need to all run to. And credit to Liam XP for hooking me up with this strategy. So this is going to be the optimal way to do stage 2 and 3 of the bounty. Like I said, the end of stage 2 is basically, you know, you're defending this mobile defense objective. There's the Hydra Tentacles taking care of the enemies. But what you want to do is you want to basically put a waypoint in the map. There's a rock near the door of Cetus. Go to the rock near the door of Cetus as the end of this this bounty, or this mobile defense target's happening, and it will force spawn the drone in one of those very close locations, making it take like basically 2 or 3 Nova portals to get to the boil. Keep in mind the entire time you should be using the Nightwave button to skip the dialogue. But for this step right here, do not skip the dialogue. There's a couple spots you shouldn't skip it. Here, go to where we are standing right here. This will force spawn the drone in one of those 2 very close spots. There's me. You can force skip the dialogue after you get to the spot, but make sure everyone's at the spot. If people are just wandering around, it will not work every time. It might work sometimes, but it will not reliably work like it's working right here. So now that the drone is guaranteed like 300 meters from the boil, it's much simpler than if it's like on the beach on the other side of the map. So very important stuff there. Like I said, Wisp and Volt, their speed buffs work on Arcwing, making it so you can get over there even if you're not like spamming Nova teleports or Titania with max power strength Razorwing Blitz. So let's show the Wisp build here. And like I said, since we are, like, maybe not everyone wants to run Secret Agent Hydroid, you can definitely do the same setup on Wisp or on Titania or maybe even like Volt. So if you're not running the Hema, some other weapons that are really good for DPS in the hemocyte are the Kuva Comb with a Toxin Roll. Just basically corrosive crit, fire rate, not too difficult. The specific build is just basically corrosive crit, fire rate, guys. Other weapons that are really good as well, you can basically run, you know, the Amprex would be pretty good. The Babonico is really good. The Cedo actually was surprisingly good. I thought it relied on CO too much. It actually is very good against the hemocyte with a corrosive crit build. And as far as other weapons in the primary slot, you know, there's definitely some that I'm forgetting about, but the general gist of it is corrosive crit. Don't worry about stash chance at all, and just go to town. So the Wisp build is going to be very high power strength, sprint boost, because that technically works in Arcwing. And you also want, we've subsumed on Empower for just even further increased speed multiplier. When I use Empower and my speed motes, I actually get 69% speed multiplier, which is pretty good. Also gives you an increased fire rate by like almost 100%, actually a little bit over 100%. Very good for spamming down the shots to destroy the hemocyte at max speed. It's a pretty standard, this is an Umbra Forma Wisp build technically, but you don't need to have an Umbra Forma to make something similar to this work. So that's the Wisp build. Let's show the Volt build real quick before we call it, I think that we can call it a video at this point. I mean, there's definitely stuff I've forgotten. I have a bunch of notes we'll go over before I end this. but we've shown basically all the builds. And as far as Volt, it's just an additional layer of speed, making the Arcwing like scoot across the planes at max velocity. And by the way, other gun blades do not work as well for the Shattering Impact strategy. Like the Stropha, don't use the Stropha with Shattering Impact. It fires one projectile, not going to do much. And the other build is just strip a high power strength Volt build with more sprint boost. I'd say the optimal setup for doing this fast is 2 sprint boost, maybe 2 enemy radar. You definitely want to not have growing power on, because growing power will make your speed nova have power strength and make enemies actually slow instead of sped up. So, add clear weapons are good too. Like I said, we already went over the super missile launcher or the Prisma Angstrom to kill lots of infested really quickly. A big tip, let's do some quick tips and tricks. Do not kill the infested spawn pods when they're on the ground. Those will spawn lots of infested. You need those infested to be chilling on the map, so you basically can spawn the next boss at max speed. Keep in mind, the lower amount of players in your squad, the less enemies it will take to spawn the next boss. So if you want to optimally farm this, I'd say do it solo or duo, honestly. Probably duo. I'd say the best duo squad's probably going to be, Wisp and Nova, or maybe Volt and Nova, just to get across the plains really fast and have the least amount of enemies you have to kill to spawn the next boss. You've got a little bit of range on here just so our speed buff can actually affect our allies nearby us, and we can actually cast our speed increasing Rest in Rage ability to hit the hemocyte as it comes out of the boil. When you're running the Rest in Rage ability, make sure you have a light energy color to make it so it speeds the enemy up and not put them to sleep. Alright, so you can also technically use the Volt Electric Shield to shoot through it for extra damage, but that's not really the focus of the build. Now, notice, that's basically the general list of the stuff I want to show you guys. Let's go over some quick tips here. Notice how I did not really recommend a DPS frame. I didn't recommend a Titania. I didn't recommend a Saren with the Venom Dose Augma mod, or a Harrow or something like that. If you have well-modded weapons with this much debuffing where we're running M Prime and Rage, you will deal so much damage to the Hemocyte, you do not need any additional buffing, really. You don't need a Rhino Roar. You don't need a... the big thing is the fire rate from Wisp. The big thing is the fire rate from Wisp, and all the debuffing makes the Hemocyte a complete joke. If you have a good squad, that thing will be dying so fast you might even get to shoot it most of the time, honestly. As long as people are running similar things to what we're talking about in the video today. Pyrana Prime, Kuva Brock with a Toxin Roll, giving you high corrosive damage. Very good as well, because you don't need it. Honestly, that stuff's not necessary. Another thing that is pretty important. Fashion Frame is actually important for this mission. Notice how my Cyandana I have equipped right now is like the Smoke Machine Ash Prime Cyandana. If you are running the Rapala Cyandana with the really long flowing cape, the one I have my Volt right now, when you start looking at that boss when it's high up in the sky, you can actually block your vision. So I'd recommend taking off the Rapala Cyandana. That's the Fashion Frame meta for this event, is to actually take that off. I know it sounds really goofy and silly, but it does actually make a difference, guys. So the advanced tactics we talked about today: teleporting out of the cave, forcing the drone spawn. You can also technically teleport out of some caves with Nova portals through the map, but we're not actually going over any glitches today. This is all intended gameplay features as far as I'm aware. So yeah, let's see if I missed anything here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we got support covered, we got speed covered, we got DPS covered with our good weapons. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope that you find this video helpful and useful. Farm lots of formas. The fastest run I've gotten is about 8 minutes flat. Like I said, if you were to focus more on ad clear, you could probably shave off a couple seconds there. Hydroid is definitely more of a meme than like a meta option. But the fact that he's one of the only frames that can yeet the Hemocyte out of the boil I find that pretty important, honestly. So if you were to not run Hydroid, you can run Mesa Prime to gun down the infested. Thankfully, she doesn't really destroy the objects like those spawn pods. You don't want to kill those spawn pods. Mesa Prime is really good for killing just the infested. You can technically run maybe Ember Prime or a Thermal Sunder, Helmet Subsume on one of your frames to just nuke down the infested. But since we have the Prisma Angstrom, we got the Babonico, we can take care of the infested very easily. You might want to be a little bit careful when you're actually casting your M Prime from Nova, because the enemies are going to explode, and they might just explode all over each other and just blow up the spawn pod. So be careful about that, because there's a delicate balance. If you want to watch some of my stream replays, make sure you're subbed to the Twitch channel as well to see how we do it exactly in mission. So yeah, keep in mind also this boss drops Nidus Prime relics, like literally, like it drops the relics on the ground like they're actually resources. So that's something that's pretty nice. You can get drops from the actual bounty itself and drops from the boss on the ground. So you'll get lots of Nidus relics from this. It's a decent relic farm. It's a basically infinite form of armor as long as you have time. And as far as the Eidolon Phylaxis and stuff, if you got this far in the video and you know what an Eidolon Phylaxis or Infested Catalyst is, like, congratulations, honestly. The Eidolon Phylaxis is one of the things you buy from Nakaka and Cetus, and the Infested Catalyst, it comes from your clan dojo in the bio lab. If you really, okay, comment down, if you got this far in the video and you don't know what those are, comment down below, because I'm actually interested to see. All right. Other way, guys, hopefully you found it helpful. There might be an update, since this is going to be here for 22 days, if any new strats arise in those 22 days, I'll definitely make an updated video, or, like, you know, make a quick note of, like, hey, here's a new strategy for Plague Star. How many forma do you have? How many forma do you want? Etc., etc. So keep an eye out for that stuff. Hopefully you found it helpful. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.